too much. True love can lead me to share my story, but my pride causes me to make myself the hero of every story I tell. Can make me one of those people who constantly gives you their resume. That's what it looks like when it becomes outward. True love can show gratitude for the things with which God has blessed me, but my pride can make me constantly give you the price tag of those things so that you can be impressed. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? So our love can become sinful based on its direction and based on its source. But finally, and ultimately, and most importantly, our love becomes sinful when it produces the wrong fruit. When it leads to the wrong ends. Look at verse 17. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. Here you have these two opposite ends. On the one hand, you have this world that is passing away, and on the other hand, you have our God who abides forever. Love becomes sinful when it leads to wrong ends and produces wrong fruit. Our passions become sinful when they are pointed in directions that lead to death and destruction, as opposed to leading to life. 1 Corinthians 7, 29 to 31. This is what I mean, brothers. The appointed time has grown very short. From now on, let those who have wives live as though they had none, and those who mourn as though they were not mourning, and those who rejoice as though they were not rejoicing, and those who buy as though they had no goods, and those who deal with the world as though they had no dealings with it, for the present form of this world is passing away. There is no life there. And this leads us back to what I was mentioning earlier. The poignant way in which this is so pertinent to our times. Because of the love is love crowd, particularly in the area of same-sex marriage. How can you be opposed to same-sex marriage when same-sex marriage is just about people who love each other being allowed to express that love? But that's a love that's pointed at the wrong object. That is not a love that comes from God or that brings glory and honor to God. It is pointed at the wrong object. It is a love that arises from the wrong source. Look with me, if you will, at Romans chapter 1. Beginning of verse 18, familiar passage, but I want us to look at it. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and the unrighteousness of men who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them because God has shown it to them. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Therefore, God gave them up to the lust of their hearts to impurity. Here we are. These lusts, these desires, to the dishonoring of their bodies among themselves, because they exchanged the truth about God for a lie and worshiped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God gave them up to dishonorable passions. Dishonorable passions. The desires themselves are dishonorable. Enough already with this gay Christian stuff. And I don't just say enough already. I don't mean this in the sense of, they're over there and I'm over here. I mean this in the pastoral sense. How cruel is that? If a man comes to me talking about a desire for a woman who is not his wife, I'm not going to tell him to just go ahead and embrace the desire because the desire in and of itself is okay. It's not. God gave them up to dishonorable passions, for their women exchanged the natural relations for those that are contrary to nature. And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women and were consumed with passion for one another, men committing shameful acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty of their error. There is the bad fruit. It's pointed in the wrong direction. It is arising from the wrong source. And it is producing bad fruit. Therefore, it falls into the category of love that is sinful. It falls into the category of love that does not glorify God. It falls into the category of love for that third version of the word world. Not the first. God's created order, not the second. People in the world. But that third, that system that is openly opposed to all that God is, and that rebels against the reign of God and his kingdom. And that is precisely where we are, brothers and sisters. And not only that, this rebellion is no longer covert, but it has become overt. It is out there and it is in our faces, and unfortunately, it is being urged along by people within the church.